Yeah. Are we all ready? Yes. Good morning, Unity on the River. There's a whole lot of loving going on this daylight savings time. God bless. Here we go.
Come on in, there's a whole lot of loving going on. Lot of loving, whole lot of loving. Come on in, there's a whole lot of loving going on. Whole lot of loving. We got the power, we got the grace. Enjoy together, we sing our praise. Come on in, there's a whole lot of healing going on. Lord of healing, whole lot of healing. Come on in, there's a whole lot of healing going on. Whole lot of healing. We got the power, we got the grace. Enjoy together, we sing our praise. Come on in, there's a whole lot of dancing going on. Come on in, there's a whole lot of dancing going on. We got the grace. Enjoy together, we sing our praise. Come on in, there's a whole lot of singing going on. Come on in, there's a whole lot of singing going on. We got the power, we got the grace. Enjoy together, we sing our praise. Come on in, there's a whole lot of praise going on. Lot of praise, whole lot of praise. Come on in, there's a whole lot of praise going on. Lot of praise, whole lot of praise. We got the grace. Enjoy together, we sing our praise. Come on in, there's a whole lot of loving going on. Grace. Enjoy together, we sing our praise. Come on in, there's a whole lot of loving going on. Lot of loving, whole lot of loving. Lot of loving, whole lot of loving. Lot of loving, whole lot of loving. Lot of loving, whole lot of loving.
Barry's back.
Walk to the banks of the river of love, where the current runs deep, baptized in the one, where there's no separation and the light is all we see, honoring all our differences and love will set us free. Mother, Father, God, there's a healing going on. Mother, Father, God, there's a healing going on. Mother, Father, God, there's a healing going on. Oh, rock my soul. Oh, yeah. I said, oh, rock my soul. Mother, Father, God, there's a healing going on. Mother, Father, God, there's a healing going on. Mother, Father, God, there's a healing going on. Oh, rock my soul. Oh, yeah. Oh,
Good morning, Unity on the River. I'd like to invite you to stand. And what we know in Unity is that healing begins with an affirmation of our wholeness. Healing is the realization of making peace with when there's anything in our life that we are in struggle against or resisting. Healing is remembering our divinity, our divineness. So I'm going to invite you to affirm with me, I am whole. I don't really believe you. Let's try it again. I am whole. Together. I am whole. Whenever you are feeling disconnected from someone, separated, and feeling there's something against you, remember that I am whole. Whenever you feel physical illness, mental despair, emotional tension, what are you going to remember to affirm? Whenever you see that there is brokenness in the world and you begin to feel that brokenness in your life, remember the truth. What's the truth? You're whole. That is the truth of who we are. And we support that by remembering the key of who we are also is divine joy. So we're going to sing, My Joy is Changing the World. Take it away, Meg.
If I'm unkind, it's not gonna happen if I act blind. It's only gonna happen when I make up my mind that joy is changing the world. Yeah, my joy is changing the world. Let's sing that again. It's not gonna happen if I'm unkind. It's not gonna happen if I act blind. It's only gonna happen when I make up my mind that joy is changing the world. Yeah, my joy is changing the world. Let's go up. Love, 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 yeah, love, 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 love. My love is changing the world, yeah, my love is changing the world. Come on, everybody. Love, 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 love. My love is changing the world, oh yeah, my love is changing the world. And it's not gonna happen if I play the judge. It's not gonna happen if I hold a grudge. It's only gonna happen if I claim that love. My love is changing the world. Yeah, my love is changing the world. One more time. And it's not gonna happen if I play the judge. It's not gonna happen if I hold a grudge. It's only gonna happen if I claim that love. My love is changing the world. Yeah, my love is changing the world. Yeah, my love is changing the world. Oh yeah, my love is changing the world. Here we go. My love is changing the world. Yeah. And that's the truth.
So this is a time in our service where we greet each other with love, with namaste. I've been asked to make a public service announcement. I love that you know what's coming already and I haven't even said it yet. I want to encourage you that if you are in the least bit concerned about spreading something you got or contracting something from someone else, let's namaste. Let's give an air hug. Let's bump some elbows. Okay? But if you're not worried and you're open to actually hugging like we usually do, extend those arms and respect where the other person is at this time. So let us behold the divine, the Christ in each other. Let us share some love in this spiritual community. Namaste.
Namaste. Here we go.
Love is my
decision. It's up to me
to give up my heart. Love is my decision. No one else
can tell me to start. And once I decide to change my mind, love will show me how. Love is my decision. My decision right here and now. Love is my decision. It's up to me to stand on that bridge.
Namaste, everybody.
Love is my decision.
Christina.
No one else can make me forgive. And once I decide to change my mind, God will show me how. Love is my decision. My decision right here and now. Love is my decision. It's up to me to dance down that road. Love is my decision. No one else can lighten my load. And once I decide to change my mind, oh, God will show me how. Love is my decision. My decision right here and now. Oh, love is my decision. It's up to me to dance down that road. Oh, love is my decision. No one else can lighten my load. And once I decide to change my mind, love will show me how. Oh, love is my decision. My decision right here and now. My decision right here and now.
Good job, Brian.
Thank you, Barry. You too. It's a song from, remember Charlie Thweet here a couple weeks ago? This is one from him. Yes. When you sing your song, there's a power in the wind that will sail you home to the peace you know within. When you sing your song, all of nature will join in. Bless you in your mission here on earth, to help you in your service here on earth. When you sing your song, you can feel the rising tide, lifting all things up till there's nowhere left to hide. When you sing your song, you become alive inside, to bless you in your mission here on earth, to help you in your service here on earth. So you ask the rising tide and the power in the that you could ever fail. And you call upon your heart and the God who lives within, and you know that there's no way that you could ever fail. Yes, you know that there's no way that you could ever fail. When you sing your song, there's a power in the wind that will sail you home to the peace you know within. When you sing your song, all of nature will join in. Bless you in your mission here on earth. Help you in your service here on earth. La da 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 da.
So I invite us at this time, if we're comfortable, take a deep breath. Gently close the eyes, plant both feet on the floor. Let's prepare a time of going within. Allow your attention to follow the journey of the breath as it enters and leaves the body. Some of us struggle with meditation because we say we can't still the mind, but truly all we need do is follow the breath. Our mind was made to think. The thoughts were made to flow. So let the thoughts flow with the breath. Notice the points of stillness between the inhale and the exhale. The chest expanding and contracting. In so doing, we become fully present to this moment by simply paying attention to what we do naturally, which is breathe. With each out breath, allow the body to relax into the chair a little bit more. The face to soften. Shoulders to fall. Just breathe. Should you realize that your thoughts have wandered or are focused on anything other than the breath, without judgment, simply bring it back to the breath. Allow the breath to anchor us within ourselves. And as we anchor, let us connect with the song of our soul. Let us connect with that deepest part of us that yearns to express. Let us connect with that in us that lies beyond the fears, the concerns, the worries, the plans, that eternal stillness that may be felt as wholeness. affirming, I am whole. There is no part of me that is broken. There is nothing that can break me. Affirming, I am love. There is no part of me that is unlovable. There is nothing I cannot love. Affirming, I am strength. There is nothing that comes into my life that I cannot handle, that I cannot transcend. This is divine wholeness. This is divine truth. This is who we are and what we are meant to manifest in the world. I am divine wholeness, divine love, divine strength. I am divine wholeness, divine love, divine strength. Let us hold that truth for ourselves in this moment for a few minutes in the silence. I am divine wholeness. I am divine love. I am divine strength. Let us hold that not just for ourselves, but for all our names in our prayer box. For all these prayer requests, these concerns, this outpouring of love. Let us hold that all the souls here remember the truth of who they are as well. That in the midst of all they may be going through, that they are whole, they are loved and loved. And that the divine strength of who they are empowers them to transcend all. And should you hold that intention for anyone else in your life, I invite you to say their names out loud now. We hold that truth for them, and we hold that we be that for them as well. And should you want someone to affirm that and remind you of that today, I invite you to visit our prayer chaplains who are in service today, if they wouldn't mind standing. These souls will hold that truth with you, for you, remind you about who you really are. Divine beings that are stronger than, bigger than, more loving than, more joyful than, more whole than any of the circumstances in your life today. We thank you for serving. Let's sing our song.
When I sing my song.
When I sing my song, there's a power in the wind. It'll sail me home to the peace I know within. When I sing my song, all of nature will join in. Bless you in your mission here on earth. Help me in my service here on earth. Let's do the next one. When I sing my song, I can feel the rising tide, lifting all things up till there's nowhere left to hide. When I sing my song, I become alive inside. Bless me in my mission here on earth, to help me in my service here on earth.
I don't remember the first time I read this book, Finding Yourself in Transition, by Unity Minister Robert Brummett. It's what we call a modern unity classic, which is a weird kind of oxymoron, modern and classic all at the same time. It was published in the early 90s, and this book, more than I think any other book that's been published in our modern times by Unity, has been read, has been used to help ground folks when they're going through changes in their life. I've had it for so long that my cover looks like this. You know, and some of you might have this book. How many of you may have read this or got a copy of this? Some of you have, yeah. On sale in the bookstore today, by the way, if you want to pick up a copy, if you don't have a copy yet. And it'll look like that. So that's how you know you got the right book. But I read this book after or at the time of any major change going on in my life. So every time I've moved, I've read this book, which has been, since I came into Unity, 5 times? Yeah, that's just since 1997. Moved around a bit, so I've read this book. I've read this book at the end of relationships. When my wife passed away, relationships I've had subsequent to that, I read this book. When I took on this job, before I moved up here, and I remember those of you 5 years ago who were here, and I was commuting back and forth between here and DC, when I started this job, I read this book. I kind of know what's in this book pretty much cover to cover. It's so marked up, and it's fascinating because every time I reread it, and I get a little new nugget, and I, mark it, I can tell the times I've read it and the transition periods I've gone through by the different ways I've marked the book up. This book has reminded me so much of why I shouldn't be afraid of the things that I become afraid of when change makes its way to my life. We all know how much we love change. We do, right? I'm going to take that as a no. But for something that is the only constant in our life, we have a weird relationship with it. Change is the only constant in our life, and yet we struggle with it so much. Change is inevitable. Sometimes changes are welcome, sometimes they're not. Sometimes we seek them out, sometimes we want to hide from them. But regardless, we kind of don't have a choice about change in our life. This book, Finding Yourself in Transition, helps us remember that, like anything else in our life, change is also a spiritual practice that can help awaken us, that can help us grow spiritually, that it is not something to be resisted and avoided, but actually embraced and welcomed. One of the issues, or perhaps the main issue we have with change, is that the truth is every change is a sort of death. Every change is a sort of death. I'm going to date myself right now by quoting a line from that song Closing Time by Semisonic. Every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end. Okay? And even if it's an end that we might want in our lives, that doesn't necessarily make it any more welcome. Every change is a kind of death. And just as we struggle and may not have made peace with the process of change, even less so we do with death. Western society especially does a very poor job of talking about death, accepting death as part of the process of life, making peace with our own death. When we resist and struggle against change, we're struggling with this concept of death. And by extension, we're actually struggling with the concept of life. Robert Brummett writes this: "Indeed, every change is a type of death, a death to an old way of living or being. Yet we fear death, and this very fear of death, the fear of change, is also our fear of life itself. To live fully is to realize that death, any type of death, is but a harbinger of new life. Any type of death is but a harbinger of new life." We don't got a problem with new. We like new. We like to go shopping and get new, right? We like to sometimes try new foods. We like new. Yesterday, I was running an errand with a friend, and she said, do you mind? I actually have to go return something to TJ Maxx, and it's on the way. And I said, I'm going to wait in the car. Because there's no time I've ever walked into a TJ Maxx and or Marshall's and not walked out with something new. I like it. It's like an endorphin hit. When we go in and we find that awesome piece of clothing or thing for our house, especially if it's on the clearance rack, right? And that first number of the price tag is a single digit. Yes, we get excited. We get the hit. We like the new, okay? We like the new. But in our own lives, as much as we like the new, we want to ignore sometimes what it takes to get to the new. And what happens is when we feel we are going through change, whether it's a change we asked for, a change we put into motion, or the change was thrust upon us, what we suddenly feel is like we are in crisis. Spiritual crisis, emotional crisis, all kinds of crisis. Things come up, and we struggle. This might help a little bit. The word crisis, actually, if you look at the Chinese interpretation, is actually made up of two words, danger and opportunity. I think we tend to make up a lot of the danger part. We use our power of imagination to create all the horrible scenarios that change might bring on. And we assign meaning to them, and then we go into this downward spiral. What I'd like to invite us to do, and what this book invites us to do, is focus on the opportunity side of it. To realize that change is inviting us into not just deeper healing with ourselves and with our past, but paving the way for something new. In this book, he parallels his teachings about change with the journey of the Israelites as they left Egypt and they were being led by Moses into the Promised Land. Anyone really not familiar with this story at all? It's okay if you're not. It's okay. Do I need to do a quick Cliff Notes version, or we're good? Quick Cliff Notes version. So way back in the day, the children of Israelites of Israel, they were in their land, and famine was coming in the land, and no food anywhere. They heard there was food in Egypt, so they went down to Egypt. I don't go into the backstory of who was in charge of the food there, but remember Joseph and the multicolored coat? Right, he was in charge of the food. How he got there is a whole other story. But they go to Egypt, they've got food, they're good, so everybody moves to Egypt, because that's where the food is. Over hundreds of years, they've made Egypt their home. They multiply. There's a lot of Israelites in Egypt. The Pharaoh in Egypt says, oh, they're outnumbering us. We're going to lose what we have. He got scared from the change. So he says, let us make them our slaves. So that's what they did. They enslaved the people of Egypt, of Israel. Why the people of Israel didn't say, well, there's more of us than them, that's a whole other story. Lots of stories within stories. But anyways, after some time in slavery, Moses, who was an Israelite, who grew up in the palace of Pharaoh, was basically asked by God, this is where the whole burning bush comes in, to go free the Israelites. Change was thrust upon him. And he did what we all do. Who, me? No, I don't want to do that. Came up with a bunch of excuses. I'm not a good speaker. He came up with a whole bunch of stuff. Long story short, he goes back and secures the freedom of the Israelites. Their time in Egypt came to a close. They traveled through the desert for 40 years before they reached the Promised Land. Of course, metaphysically, 40 means as long as it takes for us to embrace that process of change. For some of us, that might be 40 seconds. For some of us, it literally might be 40 years. But however long it takes. So that's, in a teeny nutshell, the backstory. We're going, over the next few weeks, we'll be exploring this book and that story in more detail. But along the way, there was a lot of fretting, grumbling, resistance, even conversations about let's go back. Because it was bad before, but at least it was the bad we knew. So maybe we should go back there. Does that sound familiar in any way? Right. But this is what change invites us into. It is the challenge, the opportunity to uncover new and deeper parts of ourselves that we would not have unless they had been changed. So, quick overview. As I mentioned before, change starts with an ending, a death, a loss. And we have to be able to let go of what we've been holding on to before we can even move forward. Some of us say to ourselves, oh, I'm okay with the change, just let's not let go of anything that was happening before. I want the new thing, but I still want to hold on to the old thing. I want to try and make both work together. It's not going to happen. We have to let go. We have to surrender what we've been holding on tightly to. And a great opportunity to ask ourselves, why were we holding on so tight in the first place? All these deep questions come through when we're in the stage 2, the void. This is the part we really don't like. This is the part we're really avoiding. Sometimes we don't mind letting the stuff go, and we don't mind getting the new stuff. But that in between, the void, yes, it sounds dire. But it's an appropriate word because during this time, there is a feeling of emptiness. There is a feeling of being lost. There is a feeling of uncertainty. And it's normal because during this time, we realize that all the things that we probably held to be true, or some of them in that certain circumstance, aren't true for us anymore. And we haven't yet necessarily grasped onto the new thing. So there's this void. And we don't, you know that saying, nature abhors a vacuum? Yeah. We apply that to ourselves so much that sometimes we force newness into the void rather than take the time to do the wandering, to be in the desert for as long as it takes. And then only after we've been in the void long enough and done enough surrendering and releasing can we start into our new beginning, which comes with its own opportunities as well. We are a spiritual community that's about to find ourselves in a place of transition. We made a decision last year to sell this property and to find a new physical space that we might meet. I don't have any more updates for you. I saw some eyes got a little bit bigger there just now. What's he about to tell us? No, nothing's changed. Realtor's still shopping it around, you know. So, while we may have made some sort of peace with that decision, when the time comes, there's going to be a whole new set of stuff coming on up. For those of us who come here regularly, for those who may have stopped coming here and have said goodbye to this place already, there's going to be some stuff coming up. Why? Because that's just who we are. So this is why I think it's really important at this time to be prepared. Journeys are so much easier when we got the right tools and we got a map. All who wander are not lost. So we're going to be doing some wandering. Not with an O, with an A. Wandering. Just to be clear. But in that wandering, may we find the wonderment that comes with newness. But let's not jump ahead. We got to surrender. We got to release. And we got to spend that time in the void of feeling the loss, asking ourselves, who are we to be in the next evolution? What are we being invited into? Release all our attachments. discover the ones we didn't even know we had. We don't have to get lost in the change. No. This is an opportunity to find ourselves in transition. So starting next week, we're going to dive deeper into this. Go to the bookstore. If you don't have a copy of the book, pick up a copy. Start reading. It's a short book. Please don't be tempted to read it all in one sitting and say, I got it. Okay? Read the first section. There's a section called The Paradox of Change, and I think Rites of Passage. But don't start reading the part that says ending yet. Stick with the first couple chapters. Read them a couple times. Digest them. See how you feel when he says some of the things that he writes about. Be honest with yourself about where your points of resistance are. Because only then can we truly heal individually and collectively. Healing is making peace with what is and embracing our wholeness. And regardless of where our next physical meeting place is, the wholeness of this community will not and cannot be disrupted. The wholeness of who we are as individuals cannot and will not be disrupted. Let us not lose ourselves in the change. Let us find ourselves in the transition. I'm going to invite you to take a deep breath and gently close the eyes again. And affirm. First, I am whole. We are whole. I am whole. We are whole. Let that anchor us, not just in our personal lives, but in the lives of this spiritual community as we step out into the beginning of a journey that will take us into our next chapter. Let us use all that happens on the outside as an opportunity for spiritual deepening, growth, and strengthening on the inside. And so it is, and so we let it be. Amen.
Good morning. Good morning. I'm Gina Genest. I'd like to take a moment to welcome anyone who's celebrating with us here for the first time today. If you are, would you raise your hand? Hi, thank you. The usher's going to bring you a welcome flower and a packet. And please fill it out, and you can take it into the Spiritual Resource Center after service, and a volunteer can answer your questions. And also, that flower will give you 10% off in the bookstore today, so feel free. You can get the book Reverend Ogun was just talking about. All right, let's take a moment to wave hello to our live streamers. Good morning, live streamers. You can also watch our service on YouTube, live or recorded, and the talks are available on all podcast platforms. Just search for Unity on the River Sunday Sermons. Unity on the River is a center of celebration, transformation, inspiration, spirit-centeredness, oneness, and joy. Please hold these truths in your heart as we say our vision for ourselves and the world together. In a moment. All right. Awakened to and transformed love, we are an expanding, compassionate, inclusive beacon of light. And we achieve our vision through our mission of transforming lives and inspiring people to make a positive difference in our world. And now's the time in our service where we prepare our tithes and offerings. In your bulletin is an insert you're welcome to take home with all the different ways you can give, including the new for 2020 text to give. Text GIVE to 833-702 for 337. And after a one-time account setup, you just need to text an amount to that number. We give thanks in advance for all the ways you choose to invest in our spiritual community. Let's hold them and breathe in our energy of abundance as we affirm together. Divine love, as me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. I got everything that I need to be happy. I got love, I got friends, I got my community. I got John on piano and Ogun in my ear. I got all the sweet belonging that comes from being here with all of you. I got gonna go away. I got everything that I need to be happy. To the afternoon, I got nothing if I don't have myself. And if I'm not grateful for all God's graces, what good is money? What good is wealth? I got everything that I need to be happy. I got everything that I need to be happy. One more time. I got everything that I need to be happy.
Meg Green, everybody, on a very limited voice today, right?
Yes.
I was back at the
Coming
soundboard
back.
pushing the fader up. I'm like, where's Meg's voice?
It's coming back.
All right, thank you, band, of course. All right, we have some announcements, few updates. Compassionate Communication, Level 2. This is Level 2 with me. It is coming up on Saturday, March 28th from 9 to 1. Sign-ups online, and the registration deadline will be Sunday, March 22nd, so we have a head count. Next coming up, Ton Paulini, Metaphysics 2. That will begin on April 15 at 7 p.m. Again, sign up online, and the registration deadline for that will be Sunday, the April 12th. For those of you in a spirit group, there'll be a potluck gathering on Saturday, March 14 at 6 p.m. And if you're interested in helping out in hospitality, that would be awesome. We're looking for 4 to 5 volunteers. It's a rotation basis only, once a month, to make an amazing difference for all of us. If you are interested in that, please contact Edith Heck. She's sitting right here. Thank you, Edith.
Edith.
Woo, let's give a hand for Edith.
Thank
Thank you for
Edith.
everything you do, Edith.
All right, additional details regarding upcoming services or classes are in your bulletin as well as on the Unity website. And some thank yous this morning. A big thank you to the hearts and hands that serve this community, angels who stepped up extra this week, Jay, Brad, and the bookstore volunteers.
All right, thank you.
Thank you to the teams, the altar team, the flower team, facilitators, and the PowerPoint team. Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
And our board members here at Unity on the River, if you are here, please stand. Board members are available for discussion or answering questions after service. Thank you.
Now it's time for the big song.
Yeah.
There's a part of this where you can all sing along. This was a pop tune from a few years ago.
Wanted to do this for years, and here it
And
is.
there's your line right there. How far is heaven?
How far is it? How far is heaven?
How far is heaven?
Not far at all? It's right here, right now. Dominoes!
Save me from this prison, Lord. Help me get away. 'Cause only you can save me now from this misery. I've been lost in my own place, and I'm getting weary. I know that I need to change my ways of living. How far is heaven? Lord, can you tell me? I've been locked up way too long in this crazy world. How far is heaven? And I just keep on praying, Lord. Just keep on living. How far is heaven? Lord, can you tell me? How far is heaven? I just got to know how far. How far is heaven? Lord, can you tell me? Take a key. Cause I know there's a better place than this place I'm living. How far is heaven? I just got to have some faith and just keep on giving. How far is heaven? Lord, can you tell me? How far is heaven? I just got to know how far, yeah. How far is heaven? Lord, can you tell me? How far is heaven? I just got to know how far, yeah. How far is heaven? Lord, can you tell me? How far is heaven? I just got to know how far now. How far is heaven? Lord, can you tell me? How far is heaven? I think heaven's here right now, yeah. How far is heaven?
Brian Dozer. Let's stay on our feet as we welcome our youth and family walking as the light. We are one.
Namaste, I stand in the presence. So today, we often will just explore a word, and one of the words we explored today was context, which is a very complicated word, but kids actually get it right away, right? What's an indoor voice anyways? What's an outdoor voice? So we talked about the words context, but in our continuing invitation for you to kind of join us, and some of you guys have started to join us in Youth and Family, one of the things I just thought I'd share is that my wife and I used to have a pediatric outpatient clinic for speech and occupational therapy. And what you'd find is if there's really clear-cut rules, pretty much any kid can go, oh, okay, those are the rules, I know what to do, I'm going to just do it. Right? And that's what the context for a lot of kids is like out in school or in different parts of our society. So if you're with Youth and Family, what you'll find is we give them a lot more room to kind of figure out what the rules are. So sometimes things are a little bit noisier than they might be, but that gives them the room to kind of learn their own sense of context and find the rules for themselves. And they do a great job of it. I'm really proud of them. Thank you.
May we as adults all remember context. We often forget it. Let us stand, affirm the truth for our children, for ourselves. If you want to hold hands, hold hands. If you don't want to hold hands, touch elbows. Whatever works for you this morning. Let there be peace on earth. Go embrace the change.
Come on in, there's a whole lot of love going on. Love, love, whole lot of love. Come on in, there's a whole lot of love going on. Love, loving, whole lot of loving. We got the power, we got the grace. Enjoy together, we sing our praise. Come on in, there's a whole lot of healing going on. Lot of healing, whole lot of healing. Come on in, there's a whole lot of healing going on. Lot of healing, whole lot of healing. We got the power, we got the grace. Enjoy together, we sing our praise. Come on in, there's a whole lot of dancing going on. Whole lot of dancing. Come on in, there's a whole lot of dancing going on. Lot of dancing, whole lot of dancing. We got the power,